like, hey, this is the first event of stage 1. So I wanted to be like,
Oh, you can. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So my first event isn't like a Fran.
Yeah, mine's not like a Fran either, but it's not overly exciting, I don't think, but it's a good one. I mean, I think it's a needed one.
You said you had like 37 different versions of the workout.
Well, yeah, but like I went, well, fuck it, just play it. Just play it because I don't want to say what it is or how it is, but like there was a process, and I think we should tell the process.
Yeah, we'll talk about the process.
Okay, good. All right, go.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. To Get With The Programming, I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grunler.
Wolverine.
And this is our very first special Programatron episode. However, we are previewing it for our regular listeners. But guess what? You're not going to get it all. If you're just out there in the podcast sphere and you're not on the Programatron train, which is what we call our patrons, our Patreon supporters, you can support the show for $6 a month. Go to patreon.com/getwiththeprogramming, and we are providing exclusive content. We already said we're going to program a weekly workout for our Programatrons, and once we get to 50 patrons, we're going to pick a patron. You give them a free full month of programming between Bill and I, but we're going to start providing some exclusive audio content as well, and this will be our first one, but we wanted to tease, preview, showcase what is coming up, and what we decided to do is we got, this is actually from one of our patrons. This is kind of like our fan service, but this would be our Programatron special.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call this, but the question was, if you could, now we programmed stage 1 of the CrossFit Games for the 2020 with Dave's hints, which we knew he had the Fran names and the Dianes and the monostructurals, and then we knew what the equipment list was, and so we programmed before they came out. Actually, we were programming while they were coming out.
Yeah, totally. Literally as it was happening.
Funny, but that pigeonholed the programming, right? We needed to program something like Fran, like Diane, like Kelly, not Kelly, Nancy,
and then Annie,
like Annie.
Yeah.
So that was where we were pigeonholed. Well, the question from one of our patrons was, what would you program if you could program whatever you want, still limited to the equipment that they were allowed to use? So what this episode is going to be about is for a Programatron patron, and we wanted to reprogram stage 1 using the equipment list, and the only thing we kept was the format. So basically, CrossFit event. Single modality.
Yeah, or single modality. Yeah,
single modalities. It had to be monostructural, weightlifting only, and gymnastics only.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do here. And before we get to that, we already talked about our Patreon page. This is not going to be a full episode for our regular listeners. This is going to
programmer pusher man is what we're doing right now. We're dropping it like we were dropping programmed drugs right now.
Yeah, just
giving you a little sample, a little taste. Take a little taste, let it make you feel good, and then you got to come in for the real thing.
Hey, this one's on us.
Okay,
but if you want more,
just roll this around in your head a little bit. Just roll it around a little bit. Tell me how it feels.
But if you guys like this and you want to listen to this exclusively, you can become a Programatron. Go to patreon.com/getwiththeprogramming. Bill, we are 13 people away. We're at 37.
Oh, man.
It's happening. It's happening, guys.
They have to understand that, like, people pay hundreds of dollars for a month of programming, and they're going to get it basically for $6. Someone's going to get picked, and then they're going to get a whole month.
And you're going to get one workout a week for free.
Like that's good shit right there. Yeah. You know, it was funny. I was when we were playing with this idea. I'm doing this stuff last night. Plus, I'm programming for the gym. Plus, I do a master's program for Wattproof Go every week, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I I program all the time. Like, it's funny. Like, it's kind of funny that here we are doing this and talking about it, because literally this is what we do. And you said, how much you love it and stuff like that. It was so funny. I went to go to the gym yesterday. I wasn't coaching yesterday. Or actually, I was coaching in the evening time, but I wanted to go in and do the workout. And I'm so discombobulated on what program we're actually on. I came in ready to do another workout.
Oh, no.
And I'm looking at the board and I'm thinking, what the hell workout is that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, shit. It totally wasn't the one I was expecting. I mean, it was still awesome. I ended up doing that one anyway, but it's funny how many workouts are swirling around in like a programmer's head.
Yes.
Nonstop, for individuals, for classes, for certain demographics, for fun, for like this kind of like imaginary, which is cool, because they all end up being things that will come up that we will put in to either our athletes' programs or whatever. So, if for our Programatrons, the stuff you're going to get is not something that is like, there's some people just throwing some things together. These are like, oh, I'm going to give you this pretty flower. Yeah. And then here's another pretty flower. Oh, and try this one on for size. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good time.
I'm excited. I often think about it because I've been doing this now for 12 years almost, maybe going on 12 years. I started in December 2008 is when I started.
Yeah.
And I want to sit down one day and just figure out how many different workouts I've programmed over the years.
I don't even think that would be possible to do, dude.
And I would probably like give or take like 250. Like that's the range.
I'll tell you this. I have a spreadsheet where I actually started putting the workouts, not like I was, building it in the thing and posting them and that sort of thing. But I didn't do it right out of the gate. It was more like trying to get it on the website and get it out or get it to my people or whatever. Or if I'm programming for someone, it was like this little satellite thing over here. It wasn't all compiled, but I started compiling. We've had the gym open since we just hit our 12th year. So we've been October 2008 is when we opened up. So we just hit our anniversary earlier this year. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. And I think I have, thanks. I think I have 7 years of
like files,
like one spreadsheet, 7 years. I think it's like 115 pages.
Wow.
Of work. And it's Monday through Sunday. Like it's just every single day of all these different workouts. So that's just on that one. Mm-hmm. That's one. And like I said, we program for so many different people and so many different realms and reasons and everything like that, that's the only compiled thing I could do. Yeah. I would have no idea what the number would be.
I was just curious.
It would be crazy though. It would be crazy.
Gosh, what was I was going to say something, but then I forgot about it. Huh. All right. But I'm excited about this episode. It was fun to do.
It was fun.
I texted you earlier. He's like, hey, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. He's like, I did it. I was doing it, finishing it last night. And then this morning, I was coaching the 5 and 6 a.m. And I totally revamped it.
But that's what happens.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. When you're talking about all these things in your head and you think you're showing up to do one thing and it's like, oh, that was last week's or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll have people text me during the week because what we'll do is I'll send out programming for the week Sunday night prior to the week for the gym. So if anybody wants it, they're just on this email list and
yeah.
I'll just send it to them just so they know what's coming and they can plan their weeks and their schedules. And we have open gym, so if life gets in the way, they can make it up at some of the time. And I'll get tests like, hey, what's the time cap or what's your point in the stimulus?
On Wednesday's workout?
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even like once I send the email,
it's gone.
I've completely forgotten what
Totally.
program the week before. So.
Totally. It's the weirdest purged kind of feeling that the second it goes out, but it's like gone. It's gone. And I really that like, we talk about like we get nerded out on about the artistic part of it where it's like it's your little sculpture and you're taking that little ball of clay and you're molding and you're making little arms on this thing and little faces and you build it and once it's done you put it out to the world, you're like, it's gone.
Yep.
And then you're like, all of a sudden you're like on a new ball of clay. So that other ball of clay that you created into whatever, it gets like it's forgotten. It's the weirdest.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very weird purging kind of feeling. It's bizarre.
Or else I'll just be so cluttered in my head. So
Yeah.
that was that was funny. Okay, so before we get into that, Bill, you said you were getting your bubs ready.
Oh, I'm bubbed up, dude. Bubbed up in my cup.
Bub in the cup.
That's right.
And so I have a new game I play. So so with our Bubs Naturals, right? We have the MCT oil powder and we have the collagen protein.
Yeah.
The collagen protein's flavorless, so you can just mix it in your coffee and you won't taste it. You'll just get the good stuff without the weird tasty stuff. And we have these spinners or like little hand blenders. I don't know what the best way to describe this.
I think hand blender is probably good.
A little mini hand blender.
Yeah.
But what I do is we talked about the vortex.
Yeah.
I have this game. I basically play spinner limbo, and I see how low I can get my spinner into the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Because I don't use a cup of coffee. I use like a Yeti, so it's pretty tall.
Yeah.
So when this thing gets spinning, it creates like this 4 to 5 inch deep like vortex into the bottom of my cup, and I try to see how low like I can get my handle below the line of my coffee.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have other spinners like that. I mean, they look exactly the same, but for whatever reason, this one is like high power, and I have to pulse it. I have to bzz, 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 because if I don't, it will shoot it all out all over the place, and I've already done that like 3 times.
Yeah, you do it in like a little mug though, right?
Well, yeah, but even in well, it's because if I put it in my Yeti or in my in my thermosy type of deal, I still fill it to the top. So it's not like I have a 2-inch border up at the top protection. I don't have that.
I want to see how you do this because I get it close, but I do not have this spillage issue as you do. You must pour your cup of coffee like Starbucks.
I don't know. I think they sent me the high power one.
And then pour it over the edge because my cups would always leak. And so that's the game I play with my bub spinner. Is I play spinner limbo and I try to see how deep I get. I want to take a video and a picture, and if we can get those that follow us that are we have a lot of people that hopped on the Bubs train with us.
Yeah.
And make that our new little social media thing is like send us a picture of how low could you go, right? Like how low did you get your Bub spinner into your coffee without getting it wet? It has to stay in that vortex. That was the game we played. So
for the rule on that one, how much of a empty space do you have to have at the top?
That's a good question. Maybe I'll figure that out this weekend.
Figure that out because I'll play this game.
Set some standards and some rules, and then
I'll put in some new batteries.
Honestly,
this thing. And I'm telling you, this thing's like a buzzsaw. I don't know what it. I think they gave me the extra powered one. Is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's a trip,
I don't know,
man.
I think it's user error, but that's just me.
Okay, well we'll see. I'm gonna beat you at that game.
Let's if you guys want to get onto that, go to bubsnaturals.com. Use the code GETWIT20 for 20% off, so you guys have a nice, cheap, easy way to enter the bubosphere with us. But let's get to it. Okay, so here's the question we were given from our Programatron was, how would we program stage 1 if we had no restrictions other than the equipment list that was given to the athletes in the format that they use? Not that it had to be Fran, Diane, Nancy, or Annie, but that you had to go basically Metcon single modality, and the single modalities are relegated to 1 weightlifting, 1 monostructural, and 1 gymnastic. And what we're going to do is, if you guys are still listening on our regular podcast page, is we're going to give you our first events. And then after that, we're pulling out, and we're giving it straight to our Programatrons as a little thank you and extra content for them. So, Bill, would you like to go first or me go first?
I'll start.
All right.
I'll go.
First.
So I tried to go, I didn't want to take this as a just complete open canvas necessarily. I tried to put my head in a Dave Castro sort of way. So I went back and looked at the open first and wrote down all the open events to kind of see what they were, because if we remember like the way Dave does it.
I probably should have done that. I did not do that
at all. If you look at the way that Dave does it, the open the old school regionals, and then the games all has like he sees that is the whole test. So I tried to kind of go off that that vein a little bit. So I went back and I looked at all the open events and kind of got time domains and movements and some of the skills and stuff, just to have an idea of what they were doing. And then I started building mine. So my first one, and it was really, it was interesting because we know what they did do. And so there were elements of myself where either we had discussions about like, well, I wish they would have had X, Y, and Z, or I really wish it would have been this way or that way. So you're going to see that on some of these events. But the first one, I think it was, let's just get started. It wasn't a Fran setup necessarily, but it's not one that is super flashy, but I think it is, especially for these athletes, it will really get them moving. So my first one, what I wanted was something that was going to keep them moving, that they would be able to push the tempo. I think this would be a very different event if it was in a regular class setting or a regular athlete sort of setting. But 4 rounds, 20 chest to bar pull-ups, 15 strict handstand push-ups, 10 snatch at 185, 125.
4 rounds.
4 rounds.
20, 15, 10?
Yeah.
Chest to bar, handstand push-up,
snatch.
And was it strict?
Yeah. So the idea behind that was, I know these guys can move, these guys and girls, like they can move. So same ideas like what Dave would do. It's like I want to have just enough to move them into an area where it's like, okay, they're gonna come up. Like 80 chest to bar pull-ups is not a big deal. However, if you're pushing the limit with the other things, it now becomes a big deal. And you know, we have athletes, plenty of athletes can do these rounds unbroken. So it's like, okay, what happens in round 3?
Right.
And do they have enough for round 4? And then that's where the race, I think, would really start to begin, is in that end of round 3 into round 4. Did you do enough, or did you break early and appropriately and fast enough to where you can open the tank on that 4th round?
Yeah.
So yeah, simple, but I think it would be pretty fun to watch.
At first I was like, oh my God, 40 reps at snatches. Like, but I guess at the games last year, it was 28.
Yeah.
Because they did 4 rounds of 7.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a weight that, like, the majority of the athletes, all of those athletes, could do that, an element of touch and go to that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they wouldn't have to do 40 singles at 185.
Right.
You know what I mean? They would be able to hang on to the bar a little bit and be able to do those in cluster sets. So I just think it would be really fun. And again, it gives you have your strong athlete that's going to be able to move the snatch, but then you have the gymnastic element that's going to let your not as strong or your lighter athletes kind of be able to catch up to them a bit. I mean, everyone can do chest to bar, everyone can do handstand push-ups, but you're going to have your more gymnastic-y will be able to move a little bit quicker on those. So I think it would be a fun race to see. It'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, and they better have their technique dialed in if they're going to do pull-ups and handstand push-ups and have that smoked upper body.
Exactly. Because, guess what? If you smoke the upper body, guess what's probably coming up next?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's for the Programatrons.
That's
so you know.
Okay, so 4 rounds for time, 20 chest to bar pull-ups, 15 strict handstand push-ups, 10 snatches, 185 and
125.
125.
Yep.
Okay. Bill's event 1.
Boom.
I like that. So for my event 1, I came out with not as classic. I looked at the aspect of what I was doing. I was like, I had this massive wave of anticipation of what is the first event of the CrossFit Games going to be?
The grandiose.
So, the grandiose unveiling is like, is it going to be new, different, little twisty? And then when they're like, hey, it's friendly friend, it's like, it's this. I was like, oh, okay, well. I was waiting. Still a great event, challenging test, especially when you guys watched other athletes do it. But I I was in a different fantasy
Yeah.
when I was programming that. So I was like, hey, why not, you know, do it myself and see what we came up with. So what I did is I took the drag rope, and when I was programming it, what I did was I looked at what the athletes did after. So I retroactively looked at how they handled the events.
Right.
And then I changed certain weights and certain movements based off how they performed. So I was like, oh, okay, so they can handle this, or that was a different test that they may have not been ready for. So when I was programming this, I programmed it after the fact of watching and seeing what these athletes could handle.
Yeah.
All right. So my event one is I brought in the drag rope, and I did the rep scheme is 100, 80, 60, 40, 20. So this is going to be a triplet. So there's going to be 3 different movements, all descending in reps. That's movement 1. Movement 2 is 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of pistols.
Okay.
All right. So I wanted to see pistols just because, I mean, I'm sure we may see it later, right?
Yeah.
Stage 2 coming, but something different, a higher volume of pistols, 150 reps with a athlete base that should be able to handle that, pretty much like air squats. If you've
100%.
So when we program this, we're programming it for those 30 athletes, the 30 fittest men and women in the entire world. And then the last one was the runs. But I went 500, 400, 300, 200, 100 with the stipulation that they had to be an out and back. So the reps descend, starting with the drag rope, 100, 80, 60, 40, 20, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of alternating pistols, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100 on the runs. And I put the runs last because I want to see people sprint after they sprint their pistols.
Bambi legs, totally.
And I was thinking, it's like, how cool would that last, I don't know, even last 3 rounds. Like the first round, it's like, okay, get into my double unders for 100 reps, and that drag rope, it slows you down and it makes you work. 50 pistols isn't something to just brush off to the side, as you have to be very good. And then that long run, but it's still kind of a buy-in. And even the 80, 40, 400 round, it's not much different than the first round because it's very few reps less, and you're more fatigued. So a lot of times when you have, I think, rep schemes like this, the first and second round are nearly the exact same, and usually they're the same time too. But once you get past the first 2, it's kind of a
now the race starts.
Open, right?
Yeah.
That's when the race starts. So I thought would be so fun to watch is that last 3 rounds, or especially 2, when it's just 40 double unders, 20 pistols, and a 200-meter run, straight into 20 double unders, 10 pistols, and a 100-meter run. What that would look like.
Yeah.
And I think it would look gnarly. I think you would see these weird wobbly runs. I mean, think about sprinting, because you're going to have to sprint towards the end, right?
Yep.
You're going to have to go faster and faster and faster and faster to a breakneck, dangerous pace. Not dangerous pace, but probably not. More faster than you'd want to go pace. It's like, oh, I got through the pistols, now I can run at 200. It's like, no, you got to sprint because there's only 20, 10, and 100 left.
Yeah.
So that's
it would be interesting to see the frustration also on the drag rope at that point, because you can't not really just trying to get through them. Yeah, you got to race it, right? And now
really spin it quicker than.
Yeah, I mean you can only make it only make it go so fast. So the frustration on that would be pretty interesting. It's I like the way it descends, and it increases the anxiety on each of the rounds as you get going, because you're right, the first 2 you're just you'll find your pace, even though everyone's racing and all that, but like you just kind of get into your groove, and it's like you're just trying to check off each of those pieces on the long bits because they're big chunks, so there's a lot of stuff that can happen. Then all of a sudden it's the transition and how fast you're moving it those last 3 rounds. And so you're right, you are going to now I'm not checking off the double unders. I need to hurry up and get through the double unders quickly. I need to hurry up and get through the pistols quickly, and I need to immediately get into the run. You can't be like, "Whew, let me shake my legs out real fast before I get going." That would be cool. That would be cool. And it would really build that towards the end, the excitement towards the end. That'd be cool.
Like I said, it's like those first 2 rounds, that the 50-40 and the 180 is like, you can afford a couple misses there.
Yeah.
And maybe get lulled into a false sense of security. But like I said, not only does the intensity rise up as it gets shorter, and it happens so fast, right?
Yeah.
The first 2 rounds feel like they take forever. And then the last 3 is like bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
But the stress and anxiety is like, now you can't miss a double under.
Yeah.
There's no room for that. It's only 20. And if you do that, you're going to lose.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool.
Misstep on a pistol because there's only 10. And then you're going to have to redo one leg, or heaven forbid you're like me and you just like fall over. Just like big bug onto my back. Like I'm like when a turtle gets stuck, I'm like, help me. I fell over on my pistol. And just that last 100 meter after you've already done 300 double unders and 150 pistols, what that would look like, be so fun.
That was a good. I like that one.
Thanks.
That's a good one. Right. Yeah, good one.
All right, so that was our first event. And for those of you guys listening, thank you for listening. If you want to hear more, you can follow us. You become a Programatron. Go to patreon.com/getwiththeprogramming. As we will end things here for our normal listeners. Thank you for listening as always. But we are going to add on and give back to our current Programatron. So thank you guys for listening on our normal podcast. For you Programatrons, we'll be right with you.